All right, we're going to do the other one, and I just want to show you what it's going to look like. In this example, don't worry about, this is the author's, so don't worry about the font and stuff she used. I don't care. But we're going to have a label here, a label, a label, a label, a list box, and a list box. Okay? Now, if you look, what I want to show you is this. This list box that's right here, this will be filled in manually for us. All right? This list box will be filled in based on what we choose from here. Does that make sense? So in other words, what this is supposed to do is it's supposed to say, if it's a birthday, this is the kind of flower you should choose. If it's a sympathy, this is the kind of flower you should choose. So when you look up here, so if we choose get well, and then you say Daisy, it comes out and you say good choice. All right? But notice if it's anniversary, how that goes away and the ones that are shown here change. Does that make sense? So in some ways, it's similar to the other one, but the reason I chose this one is it shows you that you can fill up a list box either manually in design mode, or you can fill it up in code. So that's what we're going to do right now. All right. So we're going to start up a new project here. I'm done with this one now. And again, if you had, Amin here had like a funky error that wasn't anything that he was doing. But please remember, and you've heard me say this before, once you add controls to your form, immediately change the name of them. All right? And don't change the name unless you misspelled something, but it's really tough otherwise just because of all these internal files that are here. So if you spell quote wrong or whatever, I'd rather have it be in there incorrectly and have the program work than have you take the time to go back and spell it correctly and then have the program not work. All right. So with this example, this will be the prologue for number 5. So we're going to call this Florence's Floral Creations. So I'm going to start up a new project. It's again going to be a Windows form application. And it's Florence's Floral Creations. No spaces. All right. Really, the only character that you're allowed to put in there is an underscore. You may or may not have noticed this, but if I actually call this Florence's Floral Creations, it'll rename it and make those hyphens underscores, because that's considered to be letters, numbers, and the underscore are considered to be the only valid characters in there. All right, so Florence's Floral Creations. Save it. All right. And this one, we'll just keep it simple. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And if we look at what this is supposed to look like, you'll notice again, 1, 2, 3, 4 labels and 2 list boxes. So I'm first going to put in the 4 labels. So I'm going to put in a label here at the top. All right, I'm going to put another label in over here. That's going to go above one list box, another label here that'll go above the other list box, and finally another label at the bottom of the screen. All right, so I've got my 4 labels. Now I'm going to highlight all 4 labels. With all of them highlighted, I'm going to go back to this auto size property, and I'm going to set it from true to false, so that if I want to, I'm able to change the size of any one of those labels. All right? All right. So the first label, I'm going to make this a lot wider. It's about right. It's not great, but it's fine. And I'm going to call this label heading. All right. And I'm going to make this Florence's Floral Creations. All right. And again, I can, as we talked about before, I can come back up here to the font and change the font size, make it bold, etc. All right. Then if I want to, I can also go and where I've got this, I can go to the text align property and make it so it's nice and centered. Oops, that isn't nice and centered. That is. All right. I'm not concerned with the coloring in this one. We worked with colors in the last one. All right. So there's my heading. I'm cool with that. All right. So these next two things are supposed to say occasion and flower choice. So I'm going to change the name of this from label 2 to label occasion, and I'm going to actually have it, whoops, I'm going to actually have it say occasion. So the text will say occasion, and the name of it will be label occasion. Oops. All right, and again, if you want to, you can play with that stuff, bold it, do whatever. I'm just going to leave it the way it is. That's fine. All right, and this one right here will be called label flower choice, and its text will also be flower choice. All right. That's good. All right. The label that's down here is supposed to just say, I believe, good choice. All right. So that label, just call it what it is. Let's call it label good choice. So that'll be the name of the label, and the text for the label will just be good choice. I think they even put an exclamation point in there, but it's not, again, it's not that big a thing. Again, I can play with this if I want to, with the back color and whatever. I'm not that concerned with that. This I should be able to make a lot bigger. There we go. That looks fine the way it is. There we go. All right, so what's left are my two list boxes. Okay? Again, if you don't like the way I've spaced it out, then just space it out any way you want to space it out. All right? I mean, I can grab this, move it up a little bit, etc. It's really and truly not that important. All right? So the first one, let's call this list box occasion. And the second one we'll call list box flower choice. All right? For the occasion, in fact, this would be a good time, just so you know, for me to highlight everything here, right mouse click and choose lock controls. There, now it's done. All right. So, what were the occasions? Go back and look and see what birthday, get well, anniversary, sympathy. This one we're manually going to fill up. So I'm going to click on list box occasion, go over to my items collection, go over to here. All right. And no, I forgot again what it was. Birthday, get well, anniversary, sympathy. Birthday. Get well. Anniversary. Sympathy. All right. So that's the four things that I want in there. And again, you know, as much as you want to. Play with it, make it more aesthetically pleasing. If you want to do that, if you're cool with it the way it is, then by all means, leave it the way it is. All right? I'm just going to change this, and I'm going to tell it that I want the font to, again, be 10-point bold. I'm not worried about that right there. All right. So, if you look up on the screen here, what's going to trigger this? It's going to be this, correct? It's going to be that one. Remember that every time I choose a different list box item, what's going to hit there is the list box selected index changed event. All right? So that's what we're more concerned with right here. Other than that, there's just 2 or 3 lines of code that we have to write. So I'm going to double click on this one. So again, before you do this, you look up on the screen here. Remember, you can always go back after you've done all this, and I can click here. I like to do that. I didn't change the name of my form. I guess I never did that. But I can verify that everything else has been changed before I start putting code in there and double clicking on it and whatever. All right? Again, we can go back if we want to later and change the name of the form and whatever. I'm not that concerned with that. All right, so I'm going to double click on the occasion thing, which brings this up. All right? Now, before we do this, though, there's a few things that we want to do, such as, well, I'm going to come back up here again, and at the top, I'm going to make an array that I'm going to call flowers. All right? Now, again, I used what the author used here. So what the author said, if you look on here, what the author said for a birthday, roses, daisies, or carnations. For get well, daisies and chrysanthemums. For an anniversary, rose, peony, and carnation. And for sympathy, lily and gladiola. You may not agree with those, but just the ones that were chosen. Again, that's not what's important. You could always go back and change that stuff later. But I want to come in here, and I want to go at the top here, and I'm going to create a string array that's going to be called flowers. Now, inside of here, because we haven't done this before, I'm going to make an array of arrays. This has got one big array in it that's going to hold everything. All right? So this basically is going to hold every single thing that could possibly go into here. Does that make sense? But if I choose this one, I want this to be different than if I choose this one. I want it to be different than if I choose this one, etc. So I'm going to have an array of arrays in here. So in here, my flowers, I'm going to do this. New string, bracket, bracket, equal. Oh, come on. Oh, there's no equal sign there. I'm sorry. Thought that. Why is it giving me an error? The rest of the errors should go away in just a minute. Holy moly. Can you see this? My machine just goes nuts. I don't even touch it, and it just goes nuts. It just removed 4 lines of code, and I didn't touch it. There. So I got to keep doing that until my stuff comes back again. Make this a little smaller. So why is it pulling up like that? Pause. Mystery. Bracket, bracket. Oh. All right. Look up on if you would please. What did I say? It's a 2-dimensional array. So we need bracket, 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 bracket. See how that all went away now? It's an array of arrays. So again, what this is going to mean, if that confused you, what this is going to mean, when you look on this, that means that when we choose birthday, that the associated flowers will be these 3. When we choose get well, the associated flowers will be these 2. Anniversary will be these 3. And sympathy will be these 2. Does that make sense? All right. So we've got that. Does everybody have that? So I can move up on the screen a little bit. Again, it wouldn't matter exactly what you put here. You could come up with your own flowers if you wanted to do that. So I'm going to go down to this list box, occasion selected, changed event. Start playing computer. If you haven't been doing this, this is what you have to start doing. The first thing I want to make sure that happens when I click one of these is I want the list to clear, because if I go from birthday to anniversary, I want the birthday ones to be removed and be replaced with the anniversary ones. Does that make sense? So I want to clear the list box before I do anything else. So in other words, the first thing I want to do in here is to say list box occasion dot items dot clear. Clear the list box. All right, so that's the first thing I want to have happen. Okay? The next thing that I want to have happen is the text that's right here that says good choice. We're going to make that invisible in just a minute, but we want it to be invisible. We don't want it to say good choice. We don't want it to appear to be visible until they've made a choice. All right? So the second thing that we want to do here is we want to say list box, I'm sorry, not list box, it's a label. Label good choice, not flower choice, Jeff. Good choice dot visible equal false. And now what we want to do is we want to start iterating our way through the list. Please look on the screen. Now we want to start iterating our way through this to figure out which one has been chosen. We did that in the last example where we went through, all right, on the one that we just went over. All right, we did the same kind of thing. But there we did it with the book titles. Now we're doing it, but we're doing it based on the occasion that they chose. All right? You're right. It's the flower choice list box. Please change that to flower choice. Thank you. All right. So now what we want to do is iterate through the flower choice list box. Make it a little smaller. All right. I'll give you a second to catch up on that. But in English, what we're saying, please look up on the screen. Even if you're typing, stop for a second and look on the screen. We've got to have two loops in here. We've got a first loop to see which one of these we chose. All right? Now once we found it, so let's say you chose get well. Then we've got to loop through here to see which of those flower choices they're going to choose. Does that make sense? All right? So we're going to have literally, in that for loop, we have an if statement. In that if statement, we're going to have another for loop. Okay. Boy, I should have just given you the hard copies of this. This was supposed to go down here. Boy, oh boy. This is not supposed to be that. This is supposed to be list box occasion lcv.length and no items dot count. I'm sorry. Let me leave that there for a minute. I want to make sure that everybody's got the correct code. Good news is there's like 3 more lines and we're finished. Yes, we do. and this is just one line. And I'll make that smaller in a second. I didn't change the size. It changed magically by itself. Two more lines and we are finished. Thank goodness. So taking it from the top, we came in here and we made our two-dimensional flowers array. All right, this is going to say that for the first occasion, these are the flowers, second occasion, third occasion, fourth occasion, or occasion 0, 1, 2, 3, however you want to look at it. All right, then in here, we want to make sure we're always starting with a clean slate. So that's why we cleared that stuff out. Now, we have to go and check. So this is iterating, all right? And it's not through the flower choice, it's through the occasion list box. So this first for loop is going to iterate through this right here, all right? And then once we've done that and we found the right one, so please look. So let's say that it's birthday. So let's say you clicked on birthday, all right? So let's just say it's not letting me do that because these are locked, but let's say I clicked on here. All right, so I clicked on birthday. So now I have found the one that I wanted. So now this for loop right here, that's going to take birthday and fill up the associated flower choices. All right. All right, so the only thing then that's left is our second list box. Now, again, play computer here. I'm asking you this. There's two things that are supposed to happen when we actually choose a box, choose one of these. All right, the first is we want that good choice to now appear. We want it to say good choice. The second thing is we actually want this to go away because you've already made a choice. All right, so I'm going to double click on that second list box to bring up my second list box selected index changed event, and it's label good choice dot visible equal true, and our list box flower choice dot visible equal false. All right. There's one more thing I want to do, then I'm going to save it, then I'm going to run it. The only other thing that I want to do, and you can all do this, is go back into design mode. Where the label is, it says good choice. I want to make sure that initially this good choice label is set to false. The visible is set to false. All right. Let's save it and see if it works or if I've really hosed it up. All right, birthday. There's the selections. As soon as I choose one of them, good choice, and it goes away. All make sense? All right. If I go back to get well, I can already see there's problems. That's got to, well, it's got to reappear, and I'm not making it reappear. All right. So there's a line missing in there. So I want to make sure that right now this blows up. It works fine. It's, it comes up just like this, and it allows you to choose one, and it fills this up. But once you choose it and it says good choice, and this goes away, we've got to make it so that when we choose another one in here, this comes back. Because if it's invisible, we're getting an error message. All right. So let's see. I want to make sure. So let's see. We want to make sure not only is the label when we do this, we want the flower choice items. Yeah, we want that to clear, and we also want it to be visible. Did that fix it? I've got her code here, but I don't like the way she writes things. So I'm rewriting it myself as I'm going along, which you can see that's a real good thing to be doing. Out of range exception. Try taking that off and see what happens. Okay. Now the author did not do this. Right now it works. But as soon as I come in here and click Get Well, the error I'm getting is it's trying to go and work with something that's in here that's invisible. So it doesn't know how to work with it. So it throws an error message. So when I come in here, now I get the error message because the flower choice isn't available to me. All right. So I think how can I fix this? Well, to me, the easiest way to fix this would be to add a button down here that was called clear. All right. And if I add a clear, then I could basically make sure that none of these are selected, and I can make sure this is visible and it's empty. Does all that make sense? All right. Let me try that. What I'll do for this one is I will print out a hard copy for everybody. All right. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to try to add a button. There's a lot of ways this could be done. I'm not saying at all this is the best way. All right. Like I said, I should have just went back. I was going to use the authors, and then as I was going through it, I thought, this is stupid. This is stupid. All right. And that's on me for trying to rewrite stuff while I'm showing it to you. I shouldn't be doing that. All right. So I'm going to change this, make it button clear. Text will be clear. So what do I want to have happen? I want the list box for the occasion dot selected index to be set equal to -1, which should mean nothing is selected. All right. I want the list box for my flower choice dot items dot clear, and the list box for the flower choice dot visible be equal to true. Now,
don't you want the choice to also be on?
The what?
The good choice?
Yes. Yeah, we can do that too. Label good choice dot visible equal false. Let's see if that fixed it or made it worse. So get well. No, it already is breaking. and it's in here. So I'll tell you what, I'll fix this, all right, and I will have a hard copy for everybody, either by the end of the period or by first thing tomorrow. I'm not sure what's wrong with it. Whatever it is, it's minor. Okay.
This is like taking the first object, and it works fine with the first like birthday one, but it doesn't work with any of the other three. So I'm guessing it's only taking the first one for the for loop. But it's like once it selects the first
Yeah,
one,
it is. It's in here. The way this is being filled up.
it's like only taking the first one as like the LCD, and then trying to go right to the LCD on each of the other ones for whatever reason. So I think it thinks that
Wonder if it's that.
I think it thinks the second one is trying to take it as well.
That might be what the problem was right there. Okay. All right. References. Finishing. Size. Landscape. Okay. Print. I'm hoping that comes out on, that should be one page. So I'll give each one of you a copy of it right now. It works now. The error, if you care what the error was, that should have been LCV. I had LCV2. It was going through the wrong list. That's what the problem was. All right. So, like I said, I'll give everybody a hard copy. Does everybody understand now what the homework is? Finish these two we just did. All right. Finish the two that we just did. Do the three first you do it exercises, and the last one, just so you see what the last one should look like. You've already got in your prologue, you've already got the comment for it, but I'll show you what the last one should look like when you run it. Kind of goofy, for lack of better words. It's a very simple interface. All right. You run it. And you're supposed to guess which one of these. Okay? So I can take my mouse and put it here. Okay, it's not number one. You're supposed to put a hint in there. So now instead of choosing out of 5, it's out of 4. So I'll guess number 4. Sorry, you lose. All right? And it's not even designed to go into a loop, so I've got to play it all over again. You want, you can put it into a loop so you can play it multiple times. You don't have to do that. All right? It's not 1. Let's see, is it 2? Here, I win. Okay? That's all it is. So you're going to put in a bunch of radio buttons, and there's not very much code. Okay? A little bit more than this last one. I'll let you read the instructions because they pretty much tell you everything you're supposed to be doing. right? So again, what we'll do when you first come in here tomorrow is we will have that quick test review for 5 minutes as we usually do, and you'll take the written test. So around 8:30 or so, we'll go for a half an hour, starting on Chapter 14. Then we'll take a break, finish up Chapter 14, probably take another break, then do the test review for Chapter 14 and the review questions. And the rest of the period will be lab. So hopefully around 10 o'clock or so, like today, you'll have lab. All right. I will also, by tomorrow, I will have what your homework will be for Chapter 14.